What if the empty space all around you wasn't empty at all? Today we are diving into a really wild idea. That space itself is a physical substance, and everything we see, everything we are, is just a pattern happening within it. And let me tell you, this could completely change how you see reality. You know, we all have this built-in idea of how the world works. There's space, right? This big, empty stage. And then there's all the stuff, planets, stars, you, me, that exists inside of it. But what if that most basic assumption, the very foundation of how we picture reality, is totally backwards?
So, the way we usually think about it is like a big box full of toys. Space is the box, matter is the toys. They're separate things, but this new idea, it suggests something completely different. It says space is more like an ocean, and matter isn't a boat floating in the ocean, it's a wave, a behavior of the ocean itself.
To really get our heads around this, we have to do a pretty radical reset. First things first, we've got to throw out the whole idea of objects or particles as the fundamental building blocks. We're shifting our focus from the things to the behavior of space-time itself.
Okay, here it is, the first and most important principle of this whole framework. Only space exists. That's it. What we call matter is just what space is doing in certain places. It's a region that's gotten all twisted up, condensed, and locked into a stable pattern. Literally everything else we're going to talk about flows from this one powerful idea.
So, all right, if there are no fundamental things, then what on earth is matter? Well, this framework says it's basically a form of trapped geometry. Now, to understand what that even means, we need to look at a couple of key concepts.
First up, let's talk about something called a soliton. I want you to imagine a wave in water, but instead of spreading out and just disappearing, this wave holds itself together. It just keeps going, maintaining its shape. It's a self-reinforcing, super stable pattern. Just hang on to that idea of a stable, moving structure.
Second, think about a really tight knot in a rope. You can't just smooth it out, right? It's a permanent feature unless you literally cut the rope. Well, in physics, a topological defect is kind of like that. It's a permanent knot or scar in the fabric of a field. It's a structure that's stable precisely because of its shape.
Now here's where it gets cool. When you combine those two ideas, the self-reinforcing wave and the permanent knot, you get this incredible new definition of matter. A particle isn't a tiny little ball. It's a stable topological knot, a self-locked soliton in the constant vibration of space itself. It's not a thing, it's a piece of trapped geometry.
Okay. So if matter is just a behavior of space, what about the fundamental forces? What about gravity? Or even time itself? Well, in this framework, they're not fundamental either. They also have to emerge from the geometry of this whole oscillating medium.
Get this, time is no longer some universal clock that ticks the same for everyone everywhere. Instead, it's the local rhythm of space. Imagine space is constantly vibrating, like a wave. The rate at which that vibration cycle moves forward is what we experience as time. So, if you're in a place where space is vibrating slower, time itself is literally running slower for you.
And gravity? It stops being this mysterious force. It's way simpler. It's just space trying to relax. You see, those dense knots we call matter, they actually slow down the local vibration of space, creating a kind of slope or gradient. And other patterns of space are just naturally drawn downhill toward these slower ticking regions. That's gravity. It's not a pull, it's a flow.
Even electric charge gets a beautifully simple explanation. Positive and negative charges are nothing more than opposite directions of a twist in the fabric of space. Think of it like a clockwise twist versus a counterclockwise twist. And that's why they attract and cancel each other out. They're literally just untwisting each other. How elegant is that?
All right, so now let's zoom all the way out. Let's apply this new lens to the biggest story of all, the origin of the entire universe. This model gives us a totally fresh way of thinking about how everything began. In this view, the Big Bang wasn't an explosion of matter in space. No, it was a phase transition of space itself. It might have started as this perfectly uniform, timeless vibration. But then, that symmetry broke. The fabric of space-time fractured. The explosive release of all that tension is what drove cosmic inflation. And as the universe cooled, the first stable knots, the very first particles, literally crystallized out of the geometry.
So what about dark energy, that mysterious force pushing the universe to expand faster and faster?
Well, this model suggests it's kind of like the memory of space. It's the leftover tension from that initial fracture, and it's still pushing outward, always trying to get back to its original, perfectly smooth, uniform state. Now, really put a theory like this through its paces, you gotta look at the most extreme environments in the cosmos, and what's more extreme than a black hole? This model completely redefines them.
You see, instead of being these cosmic monsters where all our theories just break down, black holes become the ultimate proof of concept. They are the places where space-time finally drops the act of being an empty background and shows us its true nature as a real physical substance.
So what is a black hole in this model? It's not a collapsed star in the traditional sense. It's a region where space itself has become so twisted and overcondensed that its own vibration gets stuck. Light can't escape, not because it's being pulled in, but because the very geometry of space there forbids anything from moving outward. It's a total phase lock.
Okay, I know this has been super cosmic and abstract, but what does all of this mean for us right here, right now? This new picture of reality doesn't just change our view of the universe, it really changes our view of ourselves. And this is the final and I think most powerful takeaway. You are not a collection of tiny particles moving through a void. You are a persistent, incredibly complex, self-reinforcing knot of vibration in the very fabric of space-time itself. You are, quite literally, a piece of the universe doing a very, very complicated dance.
And that leaves us with this one really profound question to chew on. If everything that you are, your thoughts, your feelings, your consciousness, is just a stable, intricate pattern in the geometry of space-time, what does it truly mean to be you?